I'd like to welcome everybody to the Southbridge Town Council meeting, Monday, December 16th, 2024, 7 p.m., McKinney Council Chamber, the amended December 12th, 2024.
It was amended on that date.
First agenda, pledge allegiance. Moving on to agenda item number 3, consider and accept the meeting minutes of November 18th, 2024, Town Council. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
Just a correction. I should have been excused for that meeting because I was at work. So
Who did you call?
I texted the town manager.
Oh, okay, because I didn't get a call. Duly noted, she was excused. Oh, gee, I forgot all about it. We're going to vote this, then we have to go back to roll call. I'm sleeping at the wheel.
Thank you. Councilor Lazo.
Present?
Councilor Montigny.
Present.
Councilor Chenier. Present. Councilor Daniel.
Present.
Councilor Dow.
Present.
Councilor Kelly.
Present.
Councilor Marchetti.
Present.
Councilor Ortiz.
Present.
Councilor Rivas.
We have a
Present.
quorum. Again, we already have a motion on the floor out of order, but additions, corrections, or deletions to the 18th, duly noted that Councilor Rivas was excused. Any other additions, corrections, or deletions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to December 2nd, 2024, council meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ortiz. Any additions, correction, or deletion to the minutes of those meetings? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. If anybody was excused or not here, just abstain. Moving on to agenda item number 4, subcommittee reports, Department of Public Works.
No report, no meeting scheduled.
Moving on to Education and Human Services.
No report and no meeting scheduled.
Moving on to General Gov.
No report, Mr. Chairman. We do have a meeting scheduled for Thursday of this week, 6 p.m.
Moving on to Planning and Development, Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, at a meeting last Thursday, December 12th, in the GAR hall downstairs. Items 22 and 23 were voted on. Item 25 was just discussed.
Moving on to Protections of Persons and Property, Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair. For you, we have no meeting and no meeting was scheduled. Thank you.
Moving on to Chairman's announcements. I have a couple of things. I did attend the meeting with the acting commissioner, Russell Johnson, school committee members, Senator, Rep. The meeting was very substantive. I did bring up it's very frustrating with the people in Southbridge when things just don't seem to be moving fast enough for them. I brought up an analogy. When you build a house, you sign a contract, you have a start date and an end date. And I kind of pushed the envelope about an end date. And right away it seems to be, and I don't mean to obstruct the good workings of what we're doing, but at the same time, the town of Southbridge is lingering out there, and I think we need to move a little quicker. I think the town manager and the Russell Johnson and the people in the room all agree that if we have to pick up some of the slack as elected officials and training and stuff like that, instead of waiting for different dates down the road. The one thing that I really do like is the gentleman Juan. He's here tonight. He seems to be a very good communicator. I'm looking forward to sitting down with him and working together with him. But it's progress and it's moving forward. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's frustrating, though. That's all I can say. I've been in government quite a while, and I'm used to moving the agenda. Councilors moving the agenda. school committee members, moving the agenda. Southbridge seems to be connecting the finance departments, the maintenance departments, the political boards. It seems to be that, and I'm just going to have to say that the receiver is less than impressive as far as I'm concerned to date. I notice I've heard some changes of him reaching out to the community this week, or trying to reach out to the community, which I think is a breath of fresh air. I'm not going to pick on anybody that's making efforts to make this thing right. But when people hang back and build walls, I am going to be the guy standing there trying to take the wall down. So moving forward on that, I really look forward to working with everybody. We need to move faster. I'd just like to throw a thank you out there to the Clements family, the Art Center, and the citizens that helped put the Christmas into Southbridge. The fire chief, great job the other day with the ride around. There's a lot of things going on, but drive down Main Street, Southbridge, go past the Common, and Christmas is a shining star in this community, and Southbridge needs an attaboy. But I think the Clements family, Denise Clements and her group, does one heck of a job on decorating. And finally, I'd just like to wish everybody in the town of Southbridge, from the chair, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year moving forward. Optimism is everywhere in Southbridge, on the development front, on the school front, and most of all on the council front. Enjoy the holiday. Moving on to town manager's announcement. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you. I don't have really any announcements this evening outside of the fact that based on the tax rate classification hearing last week, that information was communicated to the DOR. DOR is evaluating all our paperwork and they're waiting for the pending the completion of this meeting tonight to make sure that we don't transfer any monies relative to regular appropriations. And hopefully our rate will be certified tomorrow so that we can get the third and fourth quarter bills out in a timely manner. And just to echo what the chairman said, I would like to wish everybody a very happy holiday season and a happy new year. It's been quite a year. A lot of great things that we have accomplished together in the community over the last year, and I look forward to an even more robust and productive 2025. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to presentations, I'd like to welcome Brittany Davidson and Carla Dela Cruz, Southbridge CPAC. Some people are asking, why is the school committee going in front of the council? This is part of the workability between the school committee and the council. The school committee is welcome to the presentations at any given time to show the public what we're doing at the school committee level. And I thank you very much for being here. You got the floor.
Thank you guys for inviting us. Carla, who is the vice chair, and myself are going to just give a brief overview of the steps that we have taken thus far as the school committee as a whole towards the DESE action plan. So on this slide, you can see that this is the DESE action plan that was voted in by the school committee in May of this year. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of the points little by little to explain what we've done. What you'll see here is that the black bulleted points are straight from the DESE action plan, and the red bulleted points are the steps that we have taken thus far to meet those. These are strictly from phase 1 of that action plan. So as the chair already mentioned, there was a meeting with the commissioner Friday, December 6th. We're still currently in phase 1. We're going to reassess that in a meeting in February. I believe a date is to be determined. But thus far, we on Saturday completed our introductory overview to the responsibilities of the school committee, where we had MASC meet us at the high school. In the library, we did a tailored introduction to charting the course, which is something that's required for all school committee members to complete upon election. The next training is scheduled for Saturday, January 11th, I believe 9 to 12, location to be determined, where we'll be talking about the budget and setting our norms. We'll get into the second bulleted point throughout the rest of the presentation. In the third bulleted point, members, we participated in public meetings with Dr. Villar. He did come out in September, did his annual presentation on the opening of the school. He also came in December and did a literacy update. And then again, I'll let Carla kind of talk on how the meeting with the commissioner went.
Yeah, so I thought the meeting went very well. It was very engaging. I did express how we wanted to be honoring our students moving forward. So I did suggest doing proclamations because I know, Jasmine has done that in the past for some students, and we would like for us to do that as well. I also talked to him about the Dynamic Futures cohort. They actually just opened it up through Central Mass. So I sent that information to Dr. Villar so that way we can enroll some of our students into that program because it's never been done before. I also discussed how, our joint meeting went well, how both the town manager and the chair have proposed regular sessions to discuss budget, curriculum, and policies. So that way it could prepare us, with our responsibilities to ensure we understand the key areas before completing our actual trainings. I expressed how Brittany did attend the conference this year, how I attended it next year, and how I would like for our whole committee to be present to the conference this coming year. And as Brittany mentioned, we are going to have our next meeting in February. And that we will coordinate with both the town manager and our chair to have regular meetings, and actually our first one's this week, so thank you both for accommodating us. And now we're here today to do the presentation, so thank you so much for partnering with us and making sure that we move forward.
These next couple of slides are from the first page of that action plan that focus kind of on the indicators of our action plan. So again, we have an upcoming meeting in January where we will be discussing setting our norms for the school committee. If we don't get it done during that open meeting, policy subcommittee will convene at that point where we will move forward with doing that. Again, Dr. Villar attends 4 public meetings a year to provide different data about the students, in which that allows us to ask him questions, but members are also responsible for scheduling individual or within small groups to discuss this data further in meetings. I know a majority of our members have already met with him at separate times to discuss different data, different topics, and things that have come up. That third bullet point will get discussed later as we talk about the forming of the CPAC and the parent forums that we've created. The evaluation of the superintendent's performance is currently done by the commissioner. However, we discussed on Saturday at our training that this is something that the school committee will begin to do once we kind of reach into phase 3 of our action plan.
So as Brittany was mentioning, we want to make sure that each individual member meets with Dr. Villar individually or in small groups as necessary. I know that pretty much all of us have taken that initiative so far, which we're happy about. Brittany and I have been out in the community talking with parents because we know that a CPAC needed to be created, and we wanted to make sure to get these started. So we've been in talks with different parents in the community, and thankfully we do have that sort of running, I would call it. They just had a meeting, when was it, last week?
Yeah, so
It was,
Karen, who is the Director of Special Education, set up a training with Leslie from the Federation to provide a training on the roles and responsibilities of a CPAC. Parents who attended that training had a meeting, I believe it was last week or the week before, to kind of get that started. And then they're meeting again in January to kind of look at voting for their board members and creating their own policies to move forward with the CPAC.
and the parent forums are also started. I think there was about 3 or 4 parents that went that night, and it was really good. I also have to mention that in the CPAC meeting, they also had someone from the district there, which she was very nice. I can't remember. Rachel. And she was giving them advice and helping them out with like policy planning and things like that, which was really nice to hear, and the collaboration seemed great. And then we need to promote positive working relationships. So again, having like quarterly presentations here would be amazing, just so that way not only do you guys know what we're doing, but also the town. And then also meet with you guys with the EHS meetings, whenever those are on. Meeting with the town council and the town manager again, so that way we could receive those trainings, because you guys have already gone through this, so you guys are best to talk to about it. And then reviewing adding a student to join the school committee. So we think this is a value to the school committee if we have a student voice. So after our training, we will revisit that with Dr. Villar to get his blessings. Okay. So then we want to make sure to take responsibilities for securing adequate funding for the district. Again, having joint meetings with the town council, discuss proposals for the building projects, budget training in January with the MASC, and again, continuing with the town council. Providing updates to our school committee meetings we've been doing, and then again the quarterly update to the town council, to ensure prudent financial management and spending of the budget. In January we're going to have more of a training on that, so hopefully we'll be able to be more in depth with that, and then do the training, the MASC training in fiscal year 26, as I proposed early on. Yeah, and then, yeah. Oh. Members will work to take proactive steps to develop relationships, which I feel we already have done that. Thank you, Juan, for being here today. He's been very actively working alongside us, meeting with the chair and I on a bi-weekly basis. As you can see, he's here right now, so he's supporting us even today. We're visiting the schools. All of our members have been visiting schools. We recently just went to the middle school. I thought it was amazing. It gave me a new sense of hope. It was really nice. I think to the point that Brittany wants to go to school there. Yeah. Then we're gonna, so that way everybody's on the same page. We want to set regular emails, especially whenever like one of our members learns about anything when it goes through anything that has to do with the school committee, to make sure that we're giving each other that information, so that way we're all knowledgeable and we all understand what is happening and what's going on. And then subcommittees will start to begin in January, especially after we have our training with the norms and our policies. And again, it's all about building that trust and having that positive relationship, not only with the receiver, but also with the town council and among our members. And thank you, Kathy, for being here too. She's also on the school committee. Yeah. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Well, first of all, I commend you all for taking these steps and moving forward towards our ultimate goal in freeing ourselves from receivership. One very specific question I had here, you mentioned adding a student to the school committee. What role would the student play in your view?
Just to provide updates on like what's going on within the schools from their perspective and their point of view. So this is something that had been done in the past, and we had learned Saturday is required. And we had spoken with Dr. Villar about it, and he wants us to revisit that topic after we set our norms and work our way more through the phases.
So it would be more like in a liaison role, okay.
Correct.
All right, makes sense. All right, thank you.
We have had some fantastic student reps that would bring issues to the school committee in the past years prior to the receivership. And I think it's a fantastic idea to move forward with that, to get the involvement at the building level. Any other discussion by councilors? Councilor Dow.
I just want to say thank you for coming in today. That's very important. I don't want to say about the past, but it's a good job and keep it up. I think we're going in the right direction. Just be patient sometime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Montini, then Councilor. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure out, this is great news, and I really appreciate you guys putting this together, but after that meeting with the commissioner, it seemed like the flavor of the state and the receiver was that subcommittees and asking for them was not on the board. So could you just kind of explain how you were able to get subcommittees approved for January? Because I think it's great news. I think this is kind of a waste of everybody's time without the subcommittees, and it's refreshing to hear that you've been able to do this. So if you would.
Thank you for your questions. So when we had our training on Saturday, part of what's in phase 1 is setting our norms, which we haven't done yet, and I don't think has been done in quite a few years. So it was discussed creating a subcommittee to do that. However, while we had MASC there, we set up a training again for January 11th, which will be an open meeting from 9 to 12, in which we hope to get through our norms, but then also do a budget. So depending on what time allows, our chair, I had spoken with him, I believe it was yesterday, where he said that if it's not something that we get through, then we'll work on getting a subcommittee started in January to get our norms set, because again, it's part of phase 1. And the committee can agree we're doing our best to work through the phases.
So it was MASC who said that DESI's idea of not having subcommittees was incorrect?
They didn't say it was incorrect. It was just our chair had mentioned wanting to create a subcommittee to go over the norms.
Yeah, totally. That's great news. That's totally a shock to me, and I'm very glad to hear it because, at that meeting, there's a lot of good people that advocated for this town, a lot of good leaders. The chairman and the town manager are the two most well-versed people in town to give the history, and working with Juan has been very fantastic. It seems like this is the first year out of the 8 years we've been in receivership, 9 almost, that anybody has seemed to want to help us out and help you guys out. So I really, really appreciate you bringing this forward. This is very good information and it's refreshing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Tonight's presentation on the agenda says President CPAC, which is Special Ed Parent Advisory Council, but instead we're getting the school committee's action plan, school committee progress. So why is it a different agenda item than what we're receiving here?
I don't know if I could specifically answer that, but Carla, myself, and Andrew had met with Scott maybe last week or the week before when we were talking about our progress and what we have done. And Carla and I had mentioned our work with the parents in the community in creating a CPAC. And so he wanted to hear more about how we've done that. And so instead of just focusing on that one piece of it, we wanted to show everything that we've done in our DESI plan to highlight all of the work that we've been doing thus far.
And there is a CPAC advisory committee?
It's in progress, so it hasn't been official yet because no board has been established, but we do have about five parents who are interested and have been working together. And so, like I said, they had their first meeting in December. Their next meeting is January 13th at 6 o'clock. I think the location is to be determined.
I know there was a parent that's been coming to a lot of school committee meetings, and he's been advocating for his child who is under special ed. Is he on this committee?
He was in attendance, yes, and he also came to some of the parent forums as well.
Okay. So just going through your entire presentation, it seems to me that they want you to come to these meetings and show a very positive attitude. Does that mean that they don't want any negativity? If you were to say something you may not like, how are they handling that? Or do you do that? Are you just showing up and just saying yes to everything they say?
Well, I can only speak for myself. Those who know me know I'm not afraid to speak my mind. And so if I don't agree with something, I will discuss it with Dr. Villar myself, which I've done. I've set up individual meetings with him in which Carla was present, and we've talked through different issues. The point here, again, is really what the DESI plan is, right, is about collaborating with the town council, with the receiver. So it's not to like put on a facade of everything is going well, but again, we really are taking those steps to collaborate, to work better together than what has been done in the past so we can get out of receivership and provide quality education to the students.
And why would the receiver ask for smaller groups or one-on-one? What's the reason for that?
So it's not him specifically asking, so it's up to us as members. Obviously, we don't want to violate a quorum, so we can only have small groups. If members want to go individually, they're more than welcome to. But for us, I think sometimes it's just helpful to have the other person there to bounce ideas off of, and again, to bring that information back to the rest of the members as a whole, so everybody's aware of what was discussed in those meetings. And now that we have Juan does attend a lot of those meetings as well, and the school tours.
I also was reading that it seems to me that they're putting the school building needs, they're saying that you are it almost read to me like you are responsible for all of that. And to me, that doesn't seem right. It seems to me that the town manager is responsible for all the buildings in town. The school buildings are the town-owned buildings. So am I reading that wrong, or does it sounded to me like they were making you responsible to make sure that the buildings get the funding that they need? Almost like they're dumping the school problems on your back. Do you get that feeling, or did not feel that way?
Well, I actually asked about that in an email to the chair, just to follow up from the joint meeting that the school committee and town council had, in which she said that the next steps were kind of the town manager and the receiver discussing those things, and really our role, from my understanding, and maybe one could correct me if I'm wrong, but is to just advocate for more funding for the schools if needed from the town.
The other thing that I was going to ask was, I read that this maintained focus on closing achievement access opportunity gaps for students of color, low income, English learner students with disabilities, to be discussed later. Why is that to be discussed later? Why isn't there a definite time and place to be discussing that?
So I meant like later in the presentation, so that was kind of a part of the parent forums and creating the CPAC, which kind of addresses those issues to, again, allow for parent voice for us as a school committee and the receiver and the town as a whole to understand from parents' perspectives what's going on and what we need to be advocating for.
Okay. And you had your first meeting and everything went well? I mean, it sounded like they were definitely interested in turning things over to you and getting you going. They weren't trying to fool you or anything like that.
No, we had a parent who kind of took over that meeting, not to be the chair yet, but has experience as a teacher. And like Carla said, Rachel, who I believe is part of special education at the elementary school, came as a person from the district who's in a CPAC from her own town, offered a lot of resources and helpful information to the CPAC. I was voted at our last meeting as the CPAC liaison, and so I will be attending all of those meetings and informing the rest of the members of what was discussed until their board has been established, and then they will come and do presentations as needed to the school committee themselves.
Okay, so at this time, you're pretty happy with the way things are going, no reason for a no confidence vote, nothing like that. You want to see how things are going, and maybe down the road we'll discuss it further, correct?
From again, I can only speak from my experience. I think things are improving. We've been having more meetings with Dr. Villar, talking about a lot of different issues. We're taking those steps that are needed towards the action plan to get us out.
All right, thank you, I'm all set.
Go ahead, Councilor Rivas.
Through you. Thank you both for bringing all this information and kind of educating the rest of the town council, and and I'm happy to support all of the work that you're both doing. I think that I can attest to Brittany and Carla asking tough questions, and, part of it is knowing what questions to ask as they're getting trained. They're able to, on their visits and in their meetings, ask about, any gaps in information that they might not have. And I think I encourage my fellow counselors to go on school visits, as well as, the school committee is doing this, and we should support them. And again, we will be able to ask our own questions on those visits to different schools. And I think that is really important, so that, we don't just have, just one perspective, that we're all getting our own perspective, and that we're all asking questions based on our own experiences. But I do think this is progress with building the relationship. That is exactly what the plan calls for, and I think that that is happening. Do I think that there are points of contention with information or something that, we might need more of? Sure, that's going to happen. That's the nature of, government. And so, but I'm encouraged. I love hearing about the subcommittee. I've been pushing for that for the longest time. And so it's great to see that happening. And I do agree, Juan is a great liaison from DESE, and open and transparent when I've asked for a meeting or I've asked questions. So again, I encourage my fellow counselors to do that and reach out and to attend the school committee meetings to get more updates and more information. Thank you.
Any questions of these ladies? If there are no questions, I just would like to say thank you very much. The open door policy with myself and the council on presentations, you can come forward at any time, contact myself or the town manager. I really do respect your strength and leadership. I've seen too many BS artists sit here and sell me a pound of meat off the truck. But what we're seeing here is actually substance. We're seeing progress, and it's all because of leadership and strength that you want to do this. And you're not afraid to ask that question where everybody doesn't want to ask. And here's where I think you two shine. I want to thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to take a minute to recognize, I'd like Juan Rodriguez to come up and address the council. We've talked about who is Juan Rodriguez, and everybody wants to know who you are. It would be nice to have you introduce yourself to the council, and we'll have a conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the invitation to the podium. I'm here tonight to support the two school committee members in their presentation. My name is Juan Rodriguez. I work in the Commissioner's Office at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. One of my tasks this year has been assigned to work with folks in the Southbridge School Committee on the capacity building plan that was adopted last May. As they said earlier, liaison, talk to folks, be present, serve as a resource. Was able to attend the training on Saturday that all the school committee members attended. We had a great session. I think, as they said, communication, getting information, visiting the schools, as I believe a few of you had a school visit scheduled on the day when school was canceled. I think that's a great idea. Continue that to see what's going on in the schools. Last week, school department did give a literacy presentation to the whole school committee, and then when we visited middle school on Friday, I believe, we were able to talk to the principal about their independent reading program, as well as their English language arts block, and also their intervention block, and how they are increasing literacy skills amongst the students during the school day. So I think all of it goes together, receiving information about what the school district is doing, and then following up with the school visit, seeing it in action, to me is very valuable. So I think I've been out here either in person or virtually, I think 25 times now. Try to be out as much as I can to support the efforts. We are in phase one, but we are slowly but surely, as the chairman said, definitely we want to show urgency in completing all the action steps from phase one, but like I said, chipping away slowly but surely at all the action items that are required in phase one. charting the course was a very big one. We appreciate the support of the Massachusetts Association of School Committee, who sent 4 members to train the 7 members of the school committee, which is, basically a 2-to-1 ratio, which was terrific. And then also their flexibility in following up to be able to offer the members of the school committee the norm setting with Chapter 70 in finance just in a couple weeks, early January. So I'm very encouraged by the progress that's going on and glad to be able to support in any way that I can.
Thank you very much. Any questions? If no questions, thank you very much.
Again, thanks for the invite. Have a good night.
Looking forward to working with you. Moving on to presentation C, Harper Committee Chairman, report from Dave Adams. Always a pleasure, Mr. Adams.
Mr. Chair, councilors, Mr. Town Manager, residents, if I can get to it real quick.
Let me make sure that Dave. Dave, first time I put glasses on here. Yeah, that's Dave.
Always a jokester.
Too tough for a Marine?
It's too complicated there, sir. No, we should be good. There we go. Yeah, I tried, man. I tried. All right, good evening, everybody. Again, Mr. Chair, councilors, Mr. Town Manager. So I just wanted to come up here and give a 40-slide presentation to you all for about an hour and on the last parts of ARPA. So just real quick is that obviously you all know who the committee members are, but I just want to do this for the town. Myself, Councilor Shenier, and Councilor Marchetti, and I just want to thank both councilors for their dedication to this whole process, the great ideas that they came up with, great discussions, and I think we did a pretty good job at the end of the day. Just to give you a quick timeline, March of 2021, ARPA was created by the federal government, and Southbridge received $5,044,950. In February of 22, ad hoc committee was formed here in Southbridge for the ARPA, and then in December 31st, actually at the end of this month, all funds need to be allocated, contracted, or spent. So that means there has to be an invoice or some type of contract set ready from the town or from the businesses in which they are receiving the goods. And in the ad hoc committee will be dissolved at the end of this month, which will be December 31st. And then December 31st of 2026, which is a 24-month deadline, all funds have to be spent, every single one of them. And then after that, town manager, town council will oversee the whole process. You will still have Joanne, who's the ARPA administrator. That position is still open all the way until December 31st of 2026. I do recommend, and I know town manager and I've had discussions, that she stay on or that position stay open until March or April of 2027, just to make sure all the contracts are done, all the federal paperwork is completed. So I did a quick pie chart real quick for you, and I couldn't fit everything on there. So what I did was I tried to break it down when I took a look at my spreadsheet. And 45% of the funds went to infrastructure work. And mind you, all these areas could be infrastructure, it could be food, it could be help with rent, it could be help with all kinds of stuff. And so I just try to kind of combine them into the best categories I could. So infrastructure from veterans monuments to the SRAB grant or the Heritage grant from the state, which was $15,000, and then obviously roads. A lot of road work has been done with these funds. And then the rail trail, fiber optics, schools, feasibility study, and our local parks as well. So almost $2.3 million was earmarked and spent through infrastructure work. Next would be town equipment. Again, this can run into the infrastructure work itself, but town equipment being DPW inspections offices, town manager's office area, town clerk, and then our health department as well. So that was about 13%, $637,000, somewhere around there, was spent on that. economics, it was great to be able to take some of this funds that, when I was a counselor on the planning and development, myself and Peg had talked multiple times about putting some money aside and being able to give it to small business loans with like 0% or a small interest itself, being able to give it to our local businesses to have them get one step above everybody else and try to help them out, and which it did, because with the help of Ms. Dean, she was able to put almost, I think it was $300,000, I believe it was, away on the side for 0% loans for low to medium income areas in our businesses. So it's great to see. And the thing is, that money gets in a revolving account, and it's able to, when they start paying it back, that money is again able to be used for other small businesses within town itself. $382. Fire and police, about 8% there, what was utilized. Again, we could talk about medical, we could talk about quite a few things here that could fall under fire and police as well, but I tried to put this into perspective on it. It's about $415,000, $416,000, about 8%. And then medical and substance abuse categories, 3%, $150,000 was given to Renaissance Medical Group for them to build an extension onto their property, utilizing a doctor and a couple of waiting rooms. And when I think it was the Family Health Center of Worcester abruptly left us and left 1,600 people without any type of care, this kind of replaced it as well. Not-for-profit organizations from food sharing, athletics like the YMCA, and a few others, education, senior funds for seniors as well, about $582,000, about 12%. And then premium pay, which was something that I thought long and hard on, and tried to figure out what we were going to do with this funds, but it was to our town staff, that $387,000. I would not take that away to this day, because being on the Emergency Operations Center with both chiefs over here and the town manager at the time, and with the help of Councilor Rivas, this town hall never shut its doors on its people, unlike surrounding towns and the state, who just went back to work at the State House, about a year ago, 6 months ago. So it's good to see that the staff of this town were properly paid and helped out quite a bit. And then ARPA administrators, about 4%, about $185,000. Now that's going to take that position all the way again until December of 2026. And then the town council will have to figure out how to, my recommendation is keep that position open all the way through March or April of 2027. Also proud of the fact that this town did not hire a company to spend these funds like many towns did, and they spent a lot of money doing this. And the only thing we spent it on was the ARPA administrator to ensure all the contracts and documents from the federal government are properly filled out and submitted on time. This was pretty quick. I just want to give you, this is the end of 3 years of hard work by many, including the town council. I am proud to say there was only one item that was ever brought back and taken away from our recommendation from the ARPA administrator and or from the ARPA subcommittee. And I think we did a pretty damn good job taking care of those funds for the town. We have, after tonight, if the town council approves everything that's on the agenda this evening, literally all ARPA funds will be contracted, invoiced, spent, whatever it may be, and it zeroes out all the way to the penny. Open for any questions at this time.
Any questions, councils? If not, go ahead, Councilor.
I want to thank Mr. Adam, Councilor Chinio, Mayor Kerry for the great job they did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Outstanding job, Dave. Any further questions? Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I just a comment, really. I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work that you and the committee did through these last 3 years, as well as Peg Dean. And you guys did a great job, and you should be commended for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 8, Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens who would like to address the council on any issues that are not on the agenda tonight? There's nobody. We're going to move on to 9. Vote to approve the town council return the following funds from the below projects to opera account totaling $441,404.25 for redistribution. Munis chart of accounts, $75,000. Self-contained breathing apparatus, $100,000. Community center heating, $50,000. Design and build animal kennel, $135,990. Town server network and Muni fiber project, $55,000, $27.87. Kitchen for the community center, $14,000, $185.44. Senior center generator, $10,971.13. Pickleball court at the community center, $229.81, totaling $441,404.25.
Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Councilor Shin. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, this was unanimously approved by the ARPA committee.
Any further discussion? Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you. Just to echo, thank you to everybody on the committee relative to the return of these monies. I did attach a memo, and everybody should have the memo. It outlines some of the projects that have been, that we had allocated, but were unable to get under fully obligated. We will be reviewing these projects throughout the rest of the year for any additional funding that we may have to change when it comes to capital stabilization on a priority list of what needs to be allocated at a later date. And that will be done probably around February or March at the budget season. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Thank you very much, Steve. Moving on, number 10, vote that the town council approves in use of $79,005 in ARPA funds for the replacement of the exterior door project at the community center, and the distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shin, seconded by Ortiz.
Mr. Chairman, this was approved by the ARPA committee.
Any further discussion? If not, Council?
Just a quick question, and I was at the meeting, but I can't recall. Now, was this previously in the budget, or this is a new?
So in order to make sure that we use all the ARPA funds, we identified several projects that we currently have under contract that we are able to use the ARPA funds that I previously mentioned. And then we will look at capital funds as to where those changes would be made at a later date.
And I guess follow up, so the, in using ARPA funds to supplant?
We are not supplanting anything. We, as mentioned several times, the auditor has advised us that we're a revenue replacement community based on the amount of funding that we have. So therefore, we are able to cost allocate to a different account and be able to expend those funds with no penalties. There is no supplanting at all. It is a accounting method to make sure that we are able to get projects that are under contract, obligated, and the funds secured.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor?
Through you, so the money for these projects, just to be clear, because we did talk about it, the money that was already approved for these projects will be going back into capital stabilization, correct?
During the budget process, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote. Moving on to 11. Vote that the town council approves and the use of $14,788 in ARPA funds for the Casabon Center parking lot lighting upgrade project, and the distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow.
Mr. Chair, this was approved by the ARPA Committee.
Approved by the ARPA Committee. Discussion. Council. If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 12. Vote that the Town Council approves the use of $183,599.90 in the ARPA funds to pay for the purchase of 3 DPW vehicles, 2 F-350 plow trucks, and 1 director vehicle, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the ARPA Administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Senior, seconded by Dow.
Mr. Chair, this was approved by the ARPA Committee.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 13, vote that the Town Council approves the use of $87,123 of ARPA funds to pay for the purchase of the hot box for the DPW, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the Town ARPA Administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second.
Mr. Chair, this was approved by the ARPA Committee.
Approved by the Subcommittee. Discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 14, vote that the Town Council approve $4,575 in ARPA funds as requested by for the purchase of a table and chairs to be placed in the Rice Conference Room, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the Town ARPA Administrator.
So moved.
Motion and second.
Mr. Chair, this was approved by the ARPA Committee.
Any discussion, Council?
Just a quick question. I know I mentioned this to Mr. Adams when this was voted on at the meeting that I wasn't able to make. Now, since we are using ARPA funds, will the kind of like general public be able to kind of like reserve the conference room to be able to utilize, like the public be able to utilize the space?
This is a conference room we use downstairs. It's a meeting room. So it's a meeting room that we use in Town Hall. So it's no different than any other individual. I mean, we don't really have public that come in to reserve rooms unless it's a public meeting. So that's a conference room that we use for our subcommittees, conservation committees, all those committees.
Right, but let's say there's a group in town that might want to utilize the space on a night that it isn't being utilized for other meetings. Would it be available to other groups?
I would have to visit that town hall use policy because typically that would be an outside group. We only allow elected leaders and public meetings. This space is for public meetings during regular office hours. If it was a Thursday night and we were open, perhaps, but we don't have custodial staff overnight to open and close a building to be able to secure it.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, we're using ARPA funds that are, for the community. I think the space, there should be some leeway for the community to utilize that space.
I would look at the town hall use policy before I open up the town to liability for groups coming in off hours that are not elected bodies or community bodies.
We have a community center, a community room at the police department, but the police department is constantly open. The problem comes in is that the town hall does close, and at night, they don't hand out keys. Council.
Mr. Chair, just
Excuse
something
me.
I talked to Councilor Rivas about was that when I was the VFW commander, we would use a veterans room, or we would utilize one of the rooms for our meeting place since the VFW had shut down. Also, just to let you know, and that maybe there's a policy that I'm not aware of, but just recently I worked with the town staff, probably about a month ago, I should say, for a public hearing bylaw for cannabis use as far as their meetings were concerned, to have a public hearing, which is by state law and by the host agreements as well. So just to let you know on that one.
Any further discussion? Council Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Just to answer that, what I believe is the answer to that question is that I have seen other groups use this town hall because the town hall does belong to the people of Southbridge. So I believe they are allowed to use different meeting rooms here with, they have to have the reserved and nothing else going on, but I think they are other groups in town are allowed to use the town hall for their meetings. I have seen, one time I came in and I saw that the Republican Town Committee was using one of the rooms, so I think it is allowed, and just thought I'd let you know. Thank you.
I think the town manager's going to check into it, but I think people can use some of the rooms when the building's open. The thing that becomes the problem is when the town hall's closed after a certain hour. I think, again, town manager will look into it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
I just want to say, yes, it is the people's building, but we have to figure out what that policy is. What groups are we talking about? Who's accountable for it? Who's responsible for it? Are we taking a deposit? How are they accessing the building? What kind of public meeting is it? Because if it's a public meeting, the only public bodies that have to have access with open doors are public bodies. If it's a private group, how are they accessing it so that, make sure that you're not having other people wander into different sections of the building? That's all I'm saying. There's a lot to that, to unpack, to make sure that we protect the building as well. There's a lot of confidential information in different offices that you want to make sure you control who's coming into the building. I will discuss it with the police chief and the security to make sure that we're on board, but I'll definitely take a look at it.
I was just curious and, just again, because we're voting on money being utilized for that space, so thank you.
The money is being expended properly for the use.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I guess that'd be a little bit of disagreement. I don't think the building should be allowed for everybody's use. If it's no difference than the ARPA funds being awarded to the DPW for a hot box, just because it's paid for by the people doesn't mean that they should have use to it. So I think the town hall would fall into the same category as that. I think it should be left to the town manager to determine where it is. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Moving on to 15. Vote that the town council awards $60,000 in ARPA money funds to the police department as requested for purposes of purchasing equipment and supplies to supply the department's ongoing mission on combating illegal activities in the community, and distribution of these funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow.
Mr. Chair, this was unanimously approved by the ARPA committee.
Any other discussion? None? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote, President. Moving on to 16. Vote that the town council awards $40,814.40 in ARPA funds pending final dissolution of ARPA funds to the Veterans Council of Southbridge for the Dresser Memorial Park Initiative as requested to offset the cost of the monument's architectural design, oversight, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second.
Mr. Chair, this was approved by the ARPA committee.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Moving on to 17.
Mr. Chair, sorry to bother you again. Just want to one thing I forgot to mention was out of that $5 million, there was another $7 to $10 million invested on top of that by the organization. So if we gave $5,000 to this organization, they also funded themselves to possibly another $10,000. And so we doubled up the amount of money that was being able to give out there and allowed some businesses to open up as well. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 17. Vote to authorize the fire department to apply for a regional assistance to firefighters grant with the town of Auburn, Charlton, Millville, and Grafton for the purpose of purchasing and replacement of self-contained breathing apparatus, and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Is a motion a second? Mr. Town Manager?
I added this to the agenda because, as you see, we're returning $100,000 in self-contained breathing apparatus monies. That was a project that had been ongoing for the last couple years through the chief trying to come up with a plan to replace aging breathing apparatus through the work of the chief, deputy chief, and all the chiefs in the area. we are going to put together they are going to put together a competitive grant, whereas the cost of the town would only be approximately a little under $26,000. So we thank them for that work. I would ask that the council supports this, that all these towns are going to go into a competitive grant. Those competitive grants regionally are very successful because you have a large block and the federal government is more apt to give you those monies for regional grants to replace aging equipment.
Thank you, Chair, for you. Now, when you included all these towns and Southbridge applying for it, where that stay, who's in charge?
So it's a grant that the chief in Auburn is, I believe, right in that grant with the information that we have through it. All it is purchasing together. So it's not that we'd have one group, but I'll let the chief answer any of those questions. But
Good evening, through the chair, to answer your question. The Auburn Fire Chief is going to facilitate, be the administrator of the grant. The monies that will be brought back to each of the towns will be given to us for purchase of the Scott packs to get what we need.
So it's just to put Southbridge in that grant, that's what it is? To be a group of that?
yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 18, vote to award community center permanent generator electrical connection to JMC Electrical Solutions Incorporated for $28,533.87 to be funded from ARPA funds and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Town manager?
Thank you. Items 18 and 19 were all part of the senior center generator project, which had been funded at $50,000. We went out to get the quotes for the work. So this was money that had already been allocated, and it was just simply awarding the contract to be able to proceed.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 19, vote to award community center permanent generator fencing to Fortress Fence Company for $10,495 to be funded from the ARPA funds and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Chinya. Discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 22. Excuse me, this is going to be 20. We had some amendments here, not amendments, but deletions. Vote to enter into a contract with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities for FY24 Community Development Block Grant Award for $925,000 and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Is the motion second? Discussion. Council Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, the P&D subcommittee voted 3-0 to recommend this to council.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 21. Vote to operate the creation of the Redevelopment Authority Design Review Board and the appointment of 7 members to come before the town council at a future date. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Dow. Discussion? Councilor Shinya?
I don't know if this went to planning and development or general.
It did.
Councilor Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, there's a very strong 0-3 negative recommendation on this agenda item.
Councilor Shinya?
I guess that's my point. I'm opposed to adding another layer of government on top of somebody coming into town to want to make a development and those kind of things. I didn't go to the meeting the other night, but I just feel that we're just adding another board to make things harder for business or even the individuals that live in this community. So I'd be opposed to that.
Councilor Daniels, you said the subcommittee said it was a negative?
Very negative.
Any further discussion? Councilor?
I'm just curious, I didn't get to watch the meeting, some of the points as to why they were opposed.
The committee was afraid that it was creating another level of bureaucracy, that it was creating hardships for businesses and citizens in town, and that it really wasn't necessary to have another board when there are other boards in town that already provide services in a similar manner.
Thank you. I'd be curious to hear from Peg, what the reasoning why they're asking for the board.
Are you done asking questions?
That was my other
Are you all
half.
set?
I'm all set.
Peg?
Just very quickly, I just plucked this from the Urban Renewal Plan. It was one of the goals of the Redevelopment Authority's revitalization of the downtown. It was on the books, it's been on the books since the 2000s as a tool to maintain the character of the downtown, and I just wanted to gauge the temperature of the town council, completely understand, and so then we move on to the next goals.
Any further discussion? Mr. Town Manager?
I'd just like to thank Peg for taking an old document off the shelves and actually trying to say, okay, what is the flavor of the town council in the town to move forward on some of these things? And obviously, some are recommendations, and we take and we get our marching orders from those that are elected. And but thank you for pulling it down, at least to put a stamp on something that's on there to move forward one way or another.
Council Dow?
Thank you, Chair, through you. So we have already board local, and that one here, where are the people coming from, local or statewide?
If I may, just to the council, just a quick summary of what the proposition was. It would be a 7-member board of a planning board member, historical commission member, zoning board of appeals member, a local architect, a community member, and 2 others I'm failing to mention. And so it basically takes members of the boards and then looks at a potential design in the downtown for the facade and in how it marries up with the rest of the downtown composition as part of a building code or building permit or a planning board permit.
Council Rivas?
I'm just curious, on the redevelopment board itself, do we have that same expertise, or I'm just curious as to...
Sure. So there currently aren't teeth for anybody to come in and say, you should or shouldn't design. The only thing that will come remotely close to that would potentially be your local historic district, if that was adopted. And so right now you have a planning board that may sometimes try to push a developer to maintain the characters, such as what was done with Cumberland Farms. They did a good job of kind of asking, can you please make it more historic looking, or, but that's not within their bounds. It's there are no specific teeth among any boards that can say how someone can or can't specifically design or make their building look, as long as they fall within our land use and our building inspections.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Kelly?
I'll reiterate pretty much what I said at the planning and development meeting. My concern with something like this is it adds another unnecessary layer of regulation. If you look around downtown, you'll see, everybody has noticed this, a lot of empty storefronts. But we already put a lot of obstacles in front of people who want to do any type of development downtown. Frankly, you have to get a special permit to do anything downtown, even to sneeze, I think. So it's just another layer of regulation that is discouraging business, that would discourage business downtown. When this was originally conceived in the early 2000s, the mix of business downtown and the town's economy was a lot different than it is today. So if we want to encourage business downtown, if we want to redevelop our downtown, I don't think adding another layer of regulation is the way to go. Thank you.
Councilor Rivas?
I can see where this is coming from, and thinking about some of our residents and how important the character of our downtown is, and thinking about the mural project and how many comments we had about changing that. And so I am concerned about developers coming in that don't necessarily, understand the character of our community and how we want to keep, we talk about the Christmas decorations and we talk about, the lighting downtown and all of that. And so I do think it is important that there is a balance where we don't want people to just come in and not have any parameters around keeping that character. We love this town and the way that it is. We don't want it to be some box, we don't want it to just look like some strip mall somewhere. We want to keep that character. So I would be in favor of this because I do think if we had that capacity in other boards, I might agree with the that it'd be overreaching. But because we don't necessarily have that, I am in favor of this.
Could I make a last comment? So I do still use it as a tool despite whether the town adopts it. So it's still recommended guidelines. So what I'll do is when I have a developer talking about something and I don't really know where they're coming from or what their vision might be, I'll send this along and say, these are the recommended guidelines that our urban renewal plan generated as a way. So, it's not to say that, I don't still try to encourage. And the one thing I will agree with is that we do already have a lot of boards and committees that I struggle right now to be able to get to a quorum. And so I respect that, one more layer would be burdensome. But again, I just want to make sure that, we have these plans, we have these recommendations from professionals, that we're bringing them forward, just, to make sure that we've done good work. Let's make sure that we reevaluate it, and if it's worth bringing forward, let's bring it forward. Thank you.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. The only thing that I looked at this and just saw it as a duplication of an existing board, so that's why I was opposed to it. I think the redevelopment authority can certainly handle this, and as I suggested, they should work with the historical commission. I don't think we need to start one more committee. I think we have too many committees as it is, so thank you.
Chair, if I may, I just want to make sure it's clear to everyone that the redevelopment authority does not have the teeth to be able to enforce design guidelines. It's just not within their charge, unfortunately.
Any other discussion? If not, there's a lot of boards and commissions that control a lot of stuff in town. Conservation, Historical Society, we have the Redevelopment Authority, we have the Planning Board, who, if you've ever been at a Planning Board meeting, they regulate the hell out of whatever you're going to build, especially if it's one of the buildings that's under the historical register. So I think Southbridge has a lot of guardians in place. This is just another group of guardians out of the boards that we already have. So vote your conscience. Roll call.
Councilor Chenier. Councilor Chenier?
No.
Councilor Daniel?
No.
Councilor Dow?
No.
Councilor Kelly?
No.
Councilor Lazo?
No.
Councilor Marquetti?
No.
Councilor Montigny?
No.
Councilor Ortiz?
No.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Moving on to agenda item number 22. Vote to approve a change order for up to $18,630 available within the Economic Development Administration, EDA, Grants Contingency Fund to remove trees not included in the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail bid, contingent on the EDA approval, and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Is a motion and a second? Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. This was not voted on by the P&D subcommittee, but it was discussed, and it was basically viewed favorably.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 23, Councilors Forum. Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you. A couple of things tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank the fire and police department for the Santa parade through our neighborhoods over the weekend or Sunday. I think this is a fantastic tradition for the town. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't take too long. And I got to tell you, my wife and I, I'm 63 years old, and I heard the fire engine sirens, and we ran out on our porch like we were 6-year-olds. So it was a lot of fun, and I thank them for doing that every year. I'd like to make a comment also about the school committee training. I'm really happy to see that moving forward. I guess I'm a little concerned that we don't have, I'm not really a little concerned, I'm very much concerned that we don't have any target deadlines. I think it's very important that we have a target end date for receivership. It's great that the school committee is doing the training, and we're trying, it seems like we're moving forward to an eventual resolution, but not having a target date simply means that this can be pushed off until whenever. The target date will keep everybody on track, including the state, as to where we should be. We have a target date to end receivership. Now, that should be, I'm in favor of a date sooner rather than later. But I think without the target date, it's just a recipe for eventually moving, just further delay. I'd also like to point out that it's good that the school committee is trying to establish relationships within the school department, with the receiver, with all the players. But the school committee is a body that is elected by the townspeople, and they represent the people of the town. There needs to be room for vigorous debate on that board, and it can be collaborative to a point, but it is an elected board, and it's incumbent upon the school committee members to represent what they believe are the interests of the community. And that's all I have to say on that topic tonight. Thank you.
Well put. Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, through you. I just wanted to give an update on and thank those councilors who were in attendance at the community forum held by WCAC and Southbridge Community Connections in regards to the community needs assessment that they reviewed, and I'm hoping that next steps will have more forums for other councilors and the town manager to be able to attend. There are a lot of issues that were discussed there that are connected to many of the things that we've talked about and many items that we've voted on, and also that our economic development department is working on. And so I thought that was a great first step, and there were a lot of different things brought up that were really important, especially Councilor Shenier, I appreciate you talking about the elderly community in our town and services and things that, are needs in our community. So yeah, I just wanted to go over that a little bit. And just wishing everyone happy holidays and reminding everybody to shop local. We have a lot of great new businesses in town. I was out yesterday and doing my usual, local holiday shopping, but I want to promote that there are a lot of different things in our community that, that you can access and be able to gift to your loved ones during the holidays and any time of the year, obviously. But yeah, I'm really excited about some of the new businesses like Nakama's smoothie place that just opened up. And so, yeah, just promoting our local businesses and this shopping season. So that's it for me.
Councilor Ortiz.
Nothing tonight.
Councilor Shenier.
Yes, I just want to wish my fellow councilors, citizens of the community, town employees a very Merry Christmas, and I look forward to continuing moving this council, working with this council and moving forward in 2025 in a positive manner. Thank you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair. To you, I just want to say thank you for the school committee came in forward tonight, speaking in front of us. 2 years ago, I was have some discussed with some old members, just saying we don't have power, that's why not we meeting. I can see a big, huge progress coming forward. Keep her up, and hopefully all together we can make a change. Happy Merry Christmas and New Year's for all the citizens and the residents and all the council. And hopefully on the New Year's we'll see the new President Trump's taking over. Thank you.
Councilor Daniels.
I have to follow that. I'd like to thank Peg Dean also for keeping the council honest, looking up the old documents, and finding all kinds of councils and boards and committees in the cobwebs, and bringing them forward to us, keeping us honest about looking at recommendations and whether or not we should move forward. I think it's a great thing that you're doing for us and for the town. So thank you. My best wishes for the holiday, especially to Peg this year. Merry Christmas to those that celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays to all my other friends and the various holidays that you may celebrate. To the council, thank you for another good calendar year. I appreciate the work that you do, the honesty and the integrity that we have, and I look forward to, for me, another 2.5 years. So thank you.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We talked a lot tonight about the downtown area, and I was just wondering if we could give like a friendly nudge to some of the business owners down there. I see some buildings with completely boarded up storefronts with plywood. It just doesn't look very good to me. There's another building on Hamilton Street that the glass is broken, and that looks a little dangerous to me. Just like to see it cleaned up a little bit. There's also a couch and TV down there partially on the sidewalk, and I'm not asking that we fine them or anything. I'm just asking that we give them a friendly nudge, ask them to clean it up a little bit. We want the downtown to look nice. I think the decorations look really nice down there, and I don't really like to see all the boarded up buildings. If we can give CDBG money to businesses for their canopies, I would think we'd be able to give it some money to them to fix up the windows. And also, at some point, I'd like to see that empty lot where the fire was. I would like to see the wood and the pallets out of there, and maybe plant some grass or something just temporarily until they build that building, because it's just unsightly to me. And I'd like the downtown to look nice, especially at this time. We want to encourage businesses to come here. Let's make it look good for the town. Other than that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you all next year. Thank you.
Moving on to 27. Oh, excuse me. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got to echo Councilor Kelly's comments. All the comments tonight actually are spot on, because first of all, me and my fiance did run to the window when Santa drove by, just like you. And the end date, everybody is aware that I've been following this school takeover long before we actually got taken over. In that meeting, that was one of the things that they pushed back on, was having an end date. And coming in from my vacation, I was on Zoom, and I just spoke really quickly about how Holyoke was given subcommittees, and for almost 2 years to have a sandbox with and learn what they're supposed to do and get hands-on with it. And then they were given a receiver that was local. And it appeared that worked, because then they were given an end date this year. And I tried to outline this to the commissioner, who at first didn't seem like he was open to the idea of the subcommittees, but clearly tonight I'm completely taken aback by the presentation, seeing that there is now a path to perhaps an end date being given sooner than later. It did take Holyoke the better part of 2 to 3 years, but it's really refreshing to hear, because why not give them subcommittees that don't have any power? They need to understand what's going on. They need to learn the budget. They need to learn policy. And the chairman mentioned the receiver's been out in the community, and, he's been really building walls for the better part of 7 years in February. He'll be here for 7. We've been in receivership for 9. And, I've surrounded myself with leadership my whole life. I mean, it's a kudos to my father that I'm even here now. In just a few hours, it'll be a year that he's left this earth. But I mean, the two gentlemen to my left, growing up alongside them and watching them, it's really nice to see the very, very beginnings of what I hope is the receiver not being a day late and a dollar short and trying to hang with leadership here. So at the end of the day, let's see if we can move forward. The school committee is right on track. Maybe we'll get an end date by the end of this year. I don't know if that's wishful thinking, but Merry Christmas to you all.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Moving on to 27, discuss next meeting date.
Next meeting date is Monday, January 6, 2025, at 7 p.m.
Moving on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Senior, seconded by Dow. All those in favor? Opposed? This meeting's adjourned.